What's going on, boys and girls? Was just watching the Oilers game. Oilers-Vancouver went to overtime. Oilers took it. I didn't see the goal. I had to step away. And of course, that's when they score. But while I was watching the game, I figured I'd follow up on the Connor Bedard rookie year goal prediction that I'd made. I'll post a link up there. If you haven't seen the video, check that out first. I sort of go through how I came to the numbers, how I got to the goals, the shooting percentage, all the couple numbers that I used. And what we predicted was 232 shots on goal, average of 2.9 shots a game, shooting percentage 13.3% for 31 goals. So as we know, Connor Bedard got hurt this year. He played, I believe, 68 games. But we'll take a look at the actual numbers, see how my prediction did. So actual shots on goal, 206, average of 3.03 shots on goal per game, which is 4% above what I had expected, or what I predicted rather. And, so bodes well for him. He's finding the net. 3 shots on goal per game, not easy in the NHL, so good for him. He got a lot of ice time, and that's to be expected. They're going to be building around him. Maybe they'll add some pieces in the offseason to help him out. Not just him, Chicago obviously wants to get better as a team. Shooting percentage, so he was shooting at 10.68, so pretty low when we compare it to some of the other players in the last video. So that's down about 20% from what I predicted. And his goal total was 22 goals. And not a big piece of this, but you got to look at these things. In his last 14 games played, he had 1 goal. So that certainly doesn't help. I added up the shots in here. He had 40 shots. So really good there, still getting the shots, but 1 goal in the 14 games hurt that. If he would have got a couple more, I would have been pretty close. I had looked at this after he got injured while he was on that little break there, and the predictions that I made were almost perfect for the shots on goal, which, weren't far off at all. But the goal pace that he was on was almost absolutely perfect compared to, or relative to his games played. So goals per game was almost dead on. But anyways, he slowed down, and that's okay. He's a kid, right? So one of the things when I was digging through, I started looking at power play shooting percentages, because I thought, what percentage is he shooting at on the power play? Is he scoring goals there? I didn't really know. I haven't dug too deep into it. And again, I was going over this through the Oilers game, and so it got me down a rabbit hole. Figured I'd share it with you guys to add a little bit of substance to the video. So it's, relatively speaking, when you compare him to Leon Draisaitl this year, 24.14% on the power play. Nathan MacKinnon, 51 goals, only shooting 8.3% on the power play. So you can still shoot a low percentage and score 51 goals as Nathan MacKinnon did. But you look at a guy like Dry, he sets up in his spot and gets a lot of one-timer goals from there. Really high shooting percentage. Austin Matthews was at 24%. Alexander Ovechkin was 11.93%. Obviously, Ovi had a little bit of a down year, but finished pretty strong. And then I wanted to look at Cole Caufield, because I think Cole Caufield is the best comparison to Connor Bedard. I think they have somewhat of a similar skill set, and you can argue and debate that, and that's fine. I think he's the closest comparison that we have to him. And so I went a little bit deeper on that. Again, the rabbit hole continues. I keep diving down, and we'll take a look just at the speed factor. So if you haven't used NHL Edge, it's their advanced stats portion of the website. Really, really good. I wish it was a little bit deeper. I mean, there's some stuff here. I don't know how relevant it is, but regardless, interesting to look at. 22 plus mile per hour bursts. Connor Bedard had 2 in his 68 games played. Cole Caufield played all 82, and he had 3 bursts, 20 to 22 miles. Bedard had more bursts, so obviously, and then when we look at 18 to 20 mile an hour, Bedard had more too, and remember, obviously, less games played. So Bedard definitely using his speed, or having more speed than Caufield in general in his movement around the ice. So I thought that was pretty interesting to note. Then we'll take a look at goals and shot speed. So shot speed here, Cole Caufield, 93.31 was his highest shooting speed this year. Connor Bedard, 86.99. In average shot speed, though, almost the exact same, 52.85, 52.62. These kids, it's not really about having a ton of velocity on those shots. It's more about that release, right? It's about getting to position. It's about that little toe drag in tight, release the shot, and it's tricky, I'm telling you, as a pass goalie. They're very hard shots to read. They're almost as hard to read as backhands, just because you can't see the blade angle as a goalie. That's what goalies do a lot. We look at blade angle to see where you can release it. There's positions of the blade where you can almost eliminate a portion of the net, or you can eliminate high or low. So that's something goalies are paying attention to. And when these guys drag it in like that, it makes it really difficult to read. So the 52 miles an hour, so them both having similar velocity, a little bit surprising, but maybe not. Shots on goal, Cole Caufield, more games, obviously 314 shots on goal, more goals. Lower shooting percentage. This is something that we talked about in the Discord. Once again, if you're not in the Discord, hop in. I know this isn't hockey cards, but I'll get to the cards part too. I have that incorporated in here a little bit, so we will take a look at that. Bedard shooting 10.7%. I think that's going to be up next year. I would totally expect it to be up. And Cole Caufield, 8.9%. He was lower than that going back. I think it was to All-Star break, and then he came out of All-Star break and sort of lit it up. And then he sort of slowed back down again. 8.9%. Cole Caufield, I don't think an 8.9% shooter, probably up there in the 12% shooter. I expect him to have a lot more goals next year than the 28. He's likely closer to the 40 goal mark, 40 plus, I would say. And we'll see what happens with that. So let's take a look at Connor Bedard prices here. So obviously from the release, we know what happens. It releases and then the price just continues on down, and that's exactly what it does. So you can see it's down 60%, sitting at currently about $332 for a raw Connor Bedard and $895 for a PSA 10. And they've both been somewhat steady over, I would say, the last few weeks. It'll be interesting to see through the summer sort of how that price holds up. And at the bottom of the screen, if you take a look there, I got the ratio. So still a really good ratio on the to grade a Connor Bedard from raw to grade at PSA. So we have a ratio from the raw to the PSA 10 at 2.5. Most players, if they're not low dollar cards, you'll get 20 guys who are $10 cards selling for $40. So that's a 4x, and it's not bad. But remember, we got to pay about $20 for grading, so it doesn't make it a great opportunity. The environment's changed. It's why I've also made less videos. I won't lie, I'm trying to find my way a little bit. What I've been doing is actually getting back to the small stuff and buying on ComC and flipping on eBay. I think that I mean, everyone's still buying little cards, buying the small ones. So I've found that to still be working pretty well. But I'm really looking to build a little bit of focus this summer. Shout out Montreal Sports Cards in our Discord. Great guy. If you go online, look for speckled PSA, Young Gun speckled PSA 10s. He does it, or just speckled raw. He goes raw to grade a lot, and it's something that I'm gonna do over the summer. I think there's opportunity there with this 23-24 crop, just because when we get into next season, I think that people are still gonna be speculating on those players because it came out so late. I just think it's an opportunity there. So that's something I'm gonna do a little bit. I continue to buy on ComC and go flip from ComC to eBay by posting them, shipping them home, posting myself and doing that. But the market is just a lot different, guys. It's tougher, but you don't whine, you don't complain, you just figure it out, right? And that's what I've been doing. So I apologize for the lack of content, but anyways, guys, how many goals do you think Connor Bedard's going to get next year? Post in the comments down below. Hit that like button, subscribe up. How far down will his Young Guns go, or will it? Maybe you think his Young Guns going to increase over the summer. It's hard to think that with more PSA 10s that are going to come out, but we'll see. I continue to watch. He's good for the hobby. Guys, we'll check you.